Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of Harsh. Long time no see. I am your host, Chris Myatt Jr. Today's interview is going to be an interview slash discussion with Zach. All right, guys, today's guest is Zach. Zach, why not you tell us a little bit about yourself, when all this started, when you started to exhibit symptoms, basically kind of like your origin story, I guess.
Yeah. So I would say I started noticing things around the age of 13. 13 was when I started noticing things. But in terms of like things before that, I would hear like just weird comments, like just comments that were just unusual. I'm sure I maybe had it, but like again, I didn't really understand what was going on. And besides those like side comments that people would make, they would make them like passively. They weren't like overt. 13 was when they started getting overt. And now that hindsight is 2020, I think what happened is I think maybe, well, I mean, I don't think maybe. I know for a fact that it was the antibiotics. Yeah, it was just the antibiotics. I guess when I was taking the antibiotics for pneumonia and a bunch of other things, that was when things started going south. I just, the bacteria in my gut, just a lot of it got erased, or a lot of it got just wasn't there. And as a and so that's really what happened. That's really how things started out. And so, yeah, that's what I can tell you in terms of like when it started, the origin. And then as years went on, I just started progressing. Before it was like, you had to be like very close to me to even detect it. As time went on, it got like amplified a lot more, is what I'm trying to say, really. Um, Amplified a lot more as I got older. Um, yeah, that's really the origin story. There's a lot to it, obviously, from the age of 13 to the 27. There's a lot that has happened ever since then. I've managed it a lot more. I've been able to manage it a lot better in terms of like just social interactions, interpersonal interactions, family interactions, things like that. But it's still there. I do have a good enough handle on it for right now, at least. Not in terms of the odor itself. It's still there, it's still present. However, I do have a good enough handle on my life in general. When I was younger, it was very hard to like just navigate life and everything. It was very, very hard. But again, I was just able to just hunker down, understand what I need to focus on, understand what I didn't need to focus on, what I can control, what I can't control. And long story short, here I am today, and just talking about my experiences, talking about what I plan on doing in the next few years in order to try and push this community forward. I mean, Chris, you and I had a talk. Obviously, we've been talking on and offline for a little bit now, about a few days now, and I do have a lot of plans that I want to do when it comes to like just pushing the community forward and just pushing just life in general forward for people that have rare diseases. But again, we could talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about that, man. I know, but that they don't know. So,
Yeah. So, long story short, there's a company down in Florida, Florida State University, and down in Florida, the company's called Esperance Healthcare. I did a podcast with them not too long ago, and long story short, they're trying to come up with basically solutions for this disease, not cures, not treatment, but just solutions, things that we can, actionable solutions that we can take, that we can, that products that they can try and push out. They can pretty much try and help folks out that have either TMAU or similar malodorous conditions. Um, Again, it's going to take a little bit because again, they're a smaller company. They just started out. Obviously, this sort of stuff takes a lot of research, development, funding, things like this. And as someone that's had this condition for, I would say, 13 plus years, I've seen the gap. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen the gaps. I've seen gaps in research, gaps in funding, all these sorts of things. And from what I've understood, and from what I see, and from a lot of the resources that I've seen, and a lot of the people who I've talked to, they all say that the reason why things always get, I would say, the reason why things always plateau, or the reason why things don't really move forward, is because of funding. Like 9 times out of 10, it's because of funding. And I've seen that time and time again with a lot of different either researchers or groups or just whatever. Funding is always the number one problem. So me personally, what my goal is, eventually, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take me some time. Although I am very good at like long-term planning, strategic planning, things like that. I want to eventually get into the area of either angel investing or venture capitalism or some sort of fundraising activity, some sort of fundraising event to finally and eventually get more get more spotlights and get more funding into the whole avenue of TMAU or bronchidrosis, hyperhidrosis, whatever the case may be. Um, yeah, again, like I've worked with a few different companies beforehand when it comes to like just basic stuff, whether that be like taking inventory or logistics, basic logistics. I worked with, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but I have worked with a company that did work with Amazon, and we put on a hosting event. We did a bunch of other stuff when it comes to hosting, volunteering, logistics, and all that sort of stuff. And me personally, I do have my background is in engineering. However, I really do want to pivot from like the whole engineering aspects eventually into the venture capital and business side of it. Because again, I do have a lot of ideas. It's going to take a while. Of course, I'm not there yet. In order to do venture capital, you need obviously funding, a lot of funds, and things like that. You wouldn't have the funds all by yourself. Of course, you'd have like multiple people in the pool. It's called like limited partnership, basically. But again, that's going to take some time. So yeah, so even though it's going to take some time, I'm still very hopeful that it will happen because, again, my first of all, my path into engineering, that in and of itself, I mean, I didn't just wake up and go into engineering. That doesn't happen. You really have to plan out for it, like years in advance. I planned out, I would say, like the moment I got this condition, or at least around the moment I got this condition, I was like 14, a year after I started noticing the harsh conditions. That was when started thinking to myself like, hey, if I had this condition, I'm not too sure what the future holds. I don't know if I don't know how easy it's going to be to get a job. You know, am I going to get fired? Am I going to constantly get fired? And am I going to get harassed out of the job, bullied out of the job, X, Y, Z? And so sooner or later, I just came to the conclusion that if I want to actually have employment, I'm going to need to be extremely smart about how I go about this. I can't just go out and get a job and expect to stay there for any reasonable amount of time. And so yeah, that's why I wanted to go into software engineering because yeah, it seemed like the smartest activity for me. It seemed like, if I go into software engineering, eventually I can go into freelance. Eventually I can work from home, XYZ. I graduated in 2020, December 2020. And of course, I graduated at a time in which COVID basically just popped off. And so between COVID popping off and between, me getting a degree in computer science, it was kind of like serendipity. It kind of just worked out. I was very lucky in that sense. I was very lucky to hit the work from home wave, I guess you could say. And so yeah, eventually I was able to get some work from home stuff, which I'm very grateful for. I don't take that lightly because I know how lucky I was in terms of like just the stars aligning up properly. So yeah, that's my goal. I know that was a little bit long. That was pretty much of a long answer, but still, that's my long term goal. But again, I'm very good when it comes to long term planning, um, and yeah, all that sort of stuff. So yeah,
I agree with you, man. I mean, heck, I'd rather someone kind of carry on and it be a good answer than to carry on and it not be much of anything, you know?
yeah,
But no, dude, that was a good answer. Um, so to kind of pivot a little bit, I know you talked about rare medical conditions in general. Not long ago on another podcast channel that I do, I ended up interviewing a lady with a rare condition. I'm not going to try to say it because I keep trying to get it right, but I keep messing it up. It's like a lipodystrophy. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And when we were talking on there, she made a great point. I mean, we don't have any organizations or foundations to help us since these conditions, not even just malodorous conditions, rare medical diseases, rare hormone deficiencies, anything that's just kind of odd or out of the spectrum, since we can't transmit it to other people or it's not cancerous, since cancer is such a big topic in the medical community, we just get pushed to the back burner. I mean, they'll figure out a label to slap us with, and then we get shelved, and that's pretty much it.
yeah. I mean, what you just said there about, and it's not just like this rare condition; it's about any rare condition in general. What you just said there is like very pivotal because like a lot of, yeah, like you said, a lot of people, there aren't any organizations that really want to like hone in on this rare disease space. And from their perspective, I can understand where they're coming from their perspective. However, insight into any sort of avenue or insight into any sort of niche is invaluable. And let me tell you that. Let me tell you why that is. So when it comes to let's look at plastic surgery in America, right? And I know this is going to be like, this is going to sound very far fetched, but I'll be able to condense this down and I'll be able to tell you exactly why I'm even bringing this subject into the conversation in the first place. You have people, some of the richest people on the world, some of the most beautiful looking people on the face of the planet. Some of these people, they go out and they get plastic surgery. They're spending thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on plastic surgery. When you really stop and think about why are these people spending so much money when it comes to plastic surgery? Well, it's because they don't feel comfortable in their own skin. And keep in mind, these are some of the wealthiest, most beautiful people on the face of the planet. These people don't feel comfortable in their own skin. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're doing all of this sort of stuff. They're worldwide. They have worldwide status. Everyone knows who they are, and they're still getting plastic surgery. And if you look at plastic surgery over the course of the last few years, really, it's really skyrocketed over here in America. So when you take that idea of not feeling comfortable in your own skin, and these people can control what they have going on. These people can control how they look. I mean, they have thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you take that and when you look at folks that are suffering from a rare condition, these people they don't have control over what they have going on. They don't have control over what they have going on, and they also they're basically stuck in a manner of like not feeling comfortable in their own skin, whether that be through TMAU or anything in general. The idea that funding rare disease research and funding rare disease treatments isn't going to be profitable. I just don't believe that because if you look at all these people that, even if you look at people that don't have money, they're still out here getting plastic surgery. They're still out here doing all these crazy things to make themselves feel comfortable in their own skin. If you take that mindset of like trying to bring value to the marketplace, trying to create products and services to make people feel more comfortable in their own skin, you're gonna get some sort of return on investment when it comes to cash investing and things like that. That's why again I feel as if I have this insight because again I don't feel comfortable in my own skin with this condition that we all have. I mean I've never met a single person that has this condition that feels comfortable in their own skin. I understand a lot of sufferers, they don't have a whole lot of funds only because they're getting fired from jobs, they can't find work, things like this. I get that 100%. However, I can guarantee you if you got some sort of solution, whatever it may be, I don't care exactly what the solution is, but if you have whether it's an IV drip pad that can pretty much produce enzyme replacement therapy, whether it's gene therapy, whether it's a pill, whether it's a supplement, and you said, hey, here's the cost for this. I don't care how much the cost is, people will find a way to purchase that product. They will. I promise you money. They will find a way to purchase that product through by hook or by crook. They will. Whether it's working 80 hours a week, whether it's doing whatever, just making their money illegal. I'm telling you right now, people will find a way to purchase that product. And not only that, but it's really a blue ocean strategy. For folks that don't know what this is, I'll just condense it very very shortly. A blue ocean strategy is basically a strategy in which is untested. No one really knows about it so far. When you're working with business people, obviously it's like sharks in the water. They're all biting each other. There's a whole lot of it's basically a red ocean because you see blood in the water. All these sharks are fighting over each other, and that's why they call it a red ocean. A blue ocean is the exact opposite. It's pretty much a path that no one knows about yet. And because it's a path that no one knows about yet, you don't have a whole bunch of sharks in the water. And so basically, you're creating a body of water that is a blue ocean. It's not a red ocean. There's no blood in the water. It's a blue ocean. Basically, a monopoly is what I'm trying to speak about. You basically have a monopoly of a strategy. You're basically the only company trying to provide products for that specific situation. You're the only company that has a monopoly on the marketplace. So again, I have this insight. I feel as if a lot of people who are in the biotech industry don't have this insight, and so that's what I'm trying to bring. Like this is what I have. I've been thinking about this for the past 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, and yeah, this is my end goal when it comes to how we can try and finally push this community forward. Because again, there's no funding. A lot of people think that it's not going to be profitable. The way my mind works, I see opportunities and I try to see the more opportunities as opposed to like just seeing, hey, what are the restrictions here? I try and weigh the good and the bad. And the way I look at it, I see a lot more upside and I see a lot more downside. I see a monopoly. I literally see a blue ocean strategy here. People think something that people aren't paying attention to. And so there's going to be over the next few years between Florida State University, IRPD, that's the Institute for Rare Pediatric Diseases down in Florida, and a whole lot of other companies. I think they're going to see over the next 10 to 20, maybe even 30 years, a lot more biotechnicians and a lot more people in the biotech space. They're going to start to realize it's like, hey, there are tons of monopolies here that people aren't aren't really discovering. Let's try and like, actually hone in on this. And it's going to be very beneficial for everyone. Like I understand when it comes to like business, a lot of people have, when it comes to capitalism and all these sorts of things, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on it. And I definitely understand those. Those opinions are valid. However, if you're a sufferer of a rare disease, and there's basically no cures, no solutions for you whatsoever. And then you have people coming in and making incremental progress. Let's say they don't cure your rare disease 100%. They only help you treat your rare disease by, 20%. 20% is far better than 0%. And then let's say, another round of funding comes along. They do get the funding, they do the research development, and then after doing the funding and the research and development, they are able to cure your condition by 40%. And then after more 60%, 80%, and then of course, eventually, hopefully, something can materialize in which you have 100% of the disease at least treated properly, diagnosed, whatever the case may be. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like make headways, even if it's not like, even if we don't get supplements or treatments or whatever the case may be that cure the condition 100%. Let's just get like 5%. Let's just get something 5% treatable. And then after 5%, we make 20% to 40%, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like make certain headways. It's going to take a long time because again, this stuff takes time. Anything worth doing takes a lot of time. I mean, just getting into engineering, that took me 10 years. Getting into this space is going to take me probably another 10 years. But of course, I'll try my best to try and condense that as much as possible. But yeah, that's what I have going on. And that's what I've been thinking about the past 2 to 4 years. So.
No, in all honesty, man, I think that's freaking awesome. Uh, especially with these conditions, and even if we're just excluding malodorous, the malodorous condition in general, dude, so many of these people that I've talked to are insanely talented and gifted in certain areas. Like, even just in the malodorous Meebo alone, uh, there's one person I talked to that's a gamer, and they make a lot of content and they keep getting subs. Uh, there was one girl I'd seen where she's a dancer or an aspiring dancer, and dude, there's so many different avenues that we all have different gifts in that dude, this thing could really blow up and become something really big if everybody just worked together and utilize their strengths, and whatever your weaknesses are, there's somebody else that can pick up that baton and run with it. So I really hope that's an ideology that many people equip moving forward. But dude, I think it's amazing. I think you have a good game plan, and heck, man, hopefully one day we can have marathons and T-shirts that could the proceeds can go to research and things like that as well. Um, Stuff like that. My biggest fear with stuff like that is people trying to pocket it rather than it going towards actual research. But hopefully one day all that stuff will get sorted out, and there could be commercials and billboards and things that could help move these things forward.
Yeah, when it comes to pocketing that sort of stuff, I mean, that's what litigation is for. That's what litigation lawfare is for. Obviously, you can always have safeguards in place when it comes to contracts and just a whole bunch of other things. The people who I'm working with now, Esperance Healthcare, Zach, Ava, and Eli, they're very good people. I've been talking to them for a few months now on and off camera. Very good people. I know what they're doing, why they're doing it. Yeah, they're very good guys. And so yeah, I know for a fact that they're going to try and do the best that they can. They're already trying. They're already working pretty hard. I've been talking to them and like they're always in the weeds, always giving me updates about, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that, things like that. And as they're doing their thing, they may not even realize it, but as they're doing their thing, like I'm sort of like behind the scenes. I'm actually trying to like put together a slide doc or a template of ways in which they can like better help themselves secure funding. So like for example, I'm just been putting together a doc of like people who they can eventually call upon. I know they're going to be going over to Paris for like a convention, one of the iGEM conventions. They got invited to a convention over in Paris, so that they can pretty much pitch their ideas for like their rare disease product, their TMAU product, Esperance. They can pitch that, and there's going to be a lot of venture capitalists, angel investors, things like that. I'm just also trying to put together a slide doc for like potential investors or people who could probably try and help them get grants. I know they already have a grant writer, so between them having a grant writer and between some of the other things that they're doing, I know that they'll be able to, or at least hopefully they'll be able to get everything to come true when it comes to the funding and all that. But of course, if that doesn't work, I'm also trying to like work behind the scenes to try and like secure some people. Again, like just like a blank sheet of like people who they could potentially call upon, people in Florida, outside of Florida, things like that. But I'm still trying to compile that. It's going to take a little bit more for me to like actually get that settled. And you also talked about something that I want to touch on as well. You talked about like people in the community and how they're like very talented. I've noticed it as well. Yeah, I mean, like one thing that I've noticed is like we're basically just human, like just we're just regular human beings. Yeah, we're dealing with a certain condition, but we are. Like I've met the same way you said you met a gamer, and I think I know the same exact gamer you're talking about. I'm not going to say her name, but I have seen her on like just different Reddits and different Facebook groups and things like that. But I talked to one person over in the West. I'm not going to say her name, but she's graduated from medical school. She's trying to be a GI actually, and yeah, you have her. She's trying to be a GI. She's trying to help other people that have this condition. I've met lawyers that have to quit their job because of the harassment, bullying. I've met other engineers, other software engineers, database developers, database admins. A lot of people in tech for the obvious reason of the fact that we can work from home. Um, yeah, and just like yeah, like I said, we're all human beings. Just either we got a bad pair of jeans or this or that happened.
Hold up, man. Hold up. There are lawyers with this condition.
Oh yeah, like, dude, there's this condition can reach anyone. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, I this lawyer, what happened to him? Apparently, what happened to him? He was making good money. I mean, it's not like he's gonna see this, but I mean, the dude was making 500K, dude. Like, the dude was making 500K as a lawyer, and like, I don't know. Apparently, I don't know if I don't know exactly how he ended up getting this condition, but there's multiple ways in which you can get it. Either you can be I'll talk about the ways in which you can get it later. But yeah, I mean, the guy was making good money. He was, having a good career, living life, and yeah, he just either he developed it or he always had it, and then it just got worse. And yeah, he went from being a big shot, making 500K to, I mean, he quit his job. I hope I don't know what happened to him. I never really got to follow up with the guy, but yeah, no, there are you look at any profession, any race, any walk of life, any creed. There are people from all races, all walks of life that can really just eventually get this condition, either get it, develop it, or maybe it was laying dormant and then something happened to spur the onset. Um, yeah, it just is what it is, man. Yeah, I mean, you have people from all walks of life, literally all walks of life. And since we're already talking about this topic, I must as well bring up like in terms of, and this is another point of point of reference that I may need to bring up in some of my channels, some of my videos. Um, like the marketplace and like the idea that like this is a rare condition. I don't there could be multiple conditions for malodorous people that have malodorous diseases. It could be TMAU, bronchidrosis, hyperhidrosis. It could be anything. Again, this is a very undiscovered field of research. So we just don't know the amount of conditions that there are. You can really get this via any method. I mean, if you let's say you were born with TMAU, if you were born with TMAU, then of course you're born with it. Your genes are coded that way, and that's that. Then of course there's TMAU two, in which people who let's say they were doing fine at a certain point in life, and then of course later on in life they developed it through whatever means, whether that's antibiotics or whatever. Then of course obviously that's how they get it. And then there are some people who let's say they abuse drugs, they abuse alcohol, they abuse whatever. Obviously, when you abuse that stuff, it affects your liver. I've met a few people, a lot of people actually, who've abused alcohol. And like next thing they know, at the age of 28, 27, 55, they're dealing with all these symptoms. So yeah, I mean, this goes to the whole idea that like it's a rare disease. It's not going to be very profitable. No one's going to actually buy it. There are people getting this disease from any which way possible. I mean, people are just getting either this disease, TMAU, or bronchidrosis, whatever the case may be. They're dealing with a malodorous condition, and they're basically inheriting these diseases at a very fast rate. I mean, really could be anything: alcohol addiction, antibiotics, whatever the case may be. So that's the idea that it's very rare, ultra rare disease. I just don't believe that. People are getting this pretty often. It's not. I look at the TMAU subreddits. I look at the Discord pages, Discord chats, Facebook groups, and like almost every other week you'll see someone that says, "Oh, hey, I just ended up getting this. Oh, I've been having this for 6 months. I've been having this for 8 months." People are just getting this randomly. And my last
Dude,
part. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say what's crazy about it is it just keeps happening more and more and more. Like this community is just steadily growing,
Yeah.
and it's kind of weird and alarming at the same time. But on another angle, and this is like a little bit more like not really spiritual, but I guess you could say character building is one thing I've noticed in almost everyone I've ever talked to. There's a small handful that says that they were good people before this and everything. I myself, I'm going to throw myself under the bus and say I was definitely parallel to hell before this condition had taken a piece of my life, right? But dude, this is definitely very humbling, and it's kind of interesting considering the world is in such an egotistical moment that so many of us are getting humbled through this condition,
Yeah.
and it's just I don't know, man. I feel like this is one of those things that like there's a little bit more than what meets the eye.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, definitely very humbling. Yeah, you definitely get to experience certain things that you didn't beforehand. You get to experience like the good in humanity, but also the bad. The good in the fact that like you realize that there are a lot of non-judgmental folks that are willing to at least, and they're not just tolerating you. They actually do like you for who you are. They actually do want to hang out with you and all this. I have one friend. His name is also Zach. Him and I went to college together, and after going to college together, he actually got a job at the same company that I work for, or at least I used to work for. And yeah, we were just friends. Him and I would visit each other every here and there. Yeah, he still. I even told him about what I'm dealing with, and he didn't really care all too much. So yeah, that's one thing I do like about tech. Tech, not everyone, but like a good amount of folks are like they just really they're kind of they're just nerds. You know what I mean? They're just nerds. They just want to have good vibe. They just want to hang out with people. They don't really care about superficial things like that too much. So yeah, that's what I like. That's one thing I do like about the tech industry. People are just like they don't really care about like all the high status stuff. They don't really care about like office politics, all that sort of stuff. They just want to be cool people. But and then of course you experience the bad in humanity as well. People just doing the craziest things, things that you wouldn't even believe. Like I mean, you and I talked about it off camera. Like you and I talked about how some of the people in the medical industry are like you wouldn't even believe how judgmental these people are. Like I mean, HIPAA
Dude,
violations up the wazoo. It's like what the hell is wrong with these people?
dude, it's not even just that. Like with some of us that have been dealing with this, like before we had graduated high school and
Yeah,
stuff. I mean, even teachers. It just goes to show, like, I hate saying this, and I'm not trying to call out everyone, but at the same time, you kind of need to tell the truth for how it happened. But so many people just goes to show people are just doing things for paychecks. People don't care. I mean, they don't care about making a difference. They don't care to continue to learn. It's like they have this ceiling, and once they hit it, they quit caring, and
yeah,
it's pretty disappointing to say the least.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I guess it's just a matter of people trying to pay the bills, so they're just what would you say, treating it like another day in the office. They don't really like treat it as like something. I don't know. I don't know. This is what it is. So
No, I hear you. But even in it's kind of weird that you say that about the tech people because when I was in boxing, there's one guy. I don't know if he'd be cool with me saying his name or not, but me and him are mad cool. And when I first started boxing, man, he used to piece me up in sparring. Good dude.
yeah,
But when I was learning how to box, he was getting ready for a fight that was like it was kind of like a charity thing that goes on for the colleges around the, the place in Kentucky where I live, and he was getting ready for his fight. So we sparred a couple rounds, several nights on end, and man, there was times he was just piecing me up,
yeah,
and I. And one time we were talking about the condition because like other people in the gym was making fun of me and stuff. And I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I just try to keep my distance from people because of this. And he's like, oh man, he's like, I don't give a shit. And I was like, what? Because up to that point, like everyone was like superficial about it, being like, they're cool with you 1 minute and then making fun of you the next, this, that, the third. And this guy was like, "No, man." He's like, "If you ever want to get better," he's like, "come to the gym with me outside of this." And he was going to show me like all this conditioning stuff of how to become better. And yeah, just overall a cool dude, man. But yeah, stuff like that's cool, man. Because then you get to learn who the real people are, who's the wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because like some of the, not all of them, but like a lot of the people that I met who like they don't really, they just want to hang out with you. They don't really care about like stuff like that. I've noticed that they always maybe this is just me being a little bit more I don't know, woo woo or whatever, but it just they always seem a little bit more grounded, a little bit more spiritually aware. Just a little. It seems like they have a lot more going on in terms of. I've I'm very good when it comes to noticing patterns, and like whenever I see people who are very like they love celebrity culture, they love gossip, they love all that sort of stuff. They're more into like just putting you down, whereas people who are a little bit more into just whether it be church or religion or whether it be volunteering, just things like that. People who are like that I usually try and keep them close. Um, and some of that you can't necessarily blame on the person themselves because sometimes you just don't know any better. Like maybe your father or your mother was very big into gossiping, or maybe your father or your mother are into a toxic relationship. You inherited those traits because again, when it comes to parenting, more is caught than taught. You catch the same exact traits that your parents teach you, and so you can't fully blame the person, but you just have to assess people as they come and then just go according to that. So.
Dude, it's crazy you say that because literally before I had this condition, I was hyper fixated on like hip hop and certain things like basketball figures, stuff like that. Then the longer I have this, dude, like I used to be hyper fixated on like retro Jordans and stuff like that because that was the big thing when I was growing up. But dude, the longer I have this, like, pardon my language, but I really don't give a shit about that materialistic stuff anymore. I don't care about who's famous and who's not. I'm not gonna kiss your ass just because everyone thinks you're great. Like I'm gonna be honest. I know this is gonna give me some dislike, but I've never thought Beyonce was all that.
Yeah.
And this gonna I know some people's gonna hate me for that, but I always thought Kelly was a little bit better, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but like I enjoy those things, but it's not to the point like it's gotten to a point, and this is something that's kind of I'm just gonna say this and then I'm gonna leave it alone because it really has nothing to do with the malodorous stuff. But it's almost like celebrities and politics have become so many people's newfound religion
Yeah. Yeah.
to the
That's
point like they will literally verbally rip your head off or do something freaking nuts just because they worship that person or it's just crazy. So many people say they believe in God, but they treat people like they're godlike figures.
yeah. Yeah. No, I mean me, I recently just for the sake of like getting my ducks in a row when it comes to like what I'm trying to do in the next 10 to 20 years, I recently just like unsubscribed from all the political stuff because it was just getting too much. I mean, we don't need to go into that,
Yeah,
but everything going on
yeah.
in a few weeks, I was like, all right, I need to like really step back from all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I unsubscribed from all the political stuff. Unsubscribed from anything that had to do with like really anything that doesn't align with my goals for the next 10 to 20 years. So I was like, let me just try and hunker down on one thing only. Um, and yeah, that's really what matters the most. I can't really control anything else that's going on. So
No, I hear you, man. This condition already takes so much out of us. I mean, most people you talk to, there's definitely a piece of you that feels like it's missing or something got taken away prematurely. A lot of people feel that way, myself included. But but yeah, dude. I mean, life's too short to be focusing on the nitty gritty. Uh, just life's already bad enough as it is. No need to like be around conversations or things where people's just ripping each other's heads off for the sake of it. But dude, I'm really excited and I'm glad that you came on. I feel like you're very valuable to the group. Like a little bit we've talked, I'm like, man, this guy's the truth, man. He's one of those people. He could definitely move the needle. And I think you're awesome, man. And hopefully your ideas you keep sharing them with the not even just the Meebo community, but with other rare condition sufferers as well. If you ever want to do any more collaborations in the future, I'd be honored to, and look forward to seeing your content as well. Um, Anything you want to let anybody know about things you have planned moving forward or things you plan on executing in the near future?
So near future, really the only things that I have planned going on are mostly just keeping up with Esperance Healthcare, trying to whenever they get massive. I don't want to disrupt them too much because then I want them to work on the product. I want to make sure that they have everything they need. But if they have any sort of like massive steps in their process when it comes to launching a product eventually, I will definitely do a podcast so you guys know about that. Other than that, in terms of, a lot of people like sometimes they ask like, "Hey, Zach, how come you haven't been posting content?" Only reason why I haven't been posting content is just 'cause I'm trying to get like my life together. My life is going good, but again, I do have a lot of massive plans. In order to get those massive plans into place, I obviously need to just take some time to hunker down and focus on myself as opposed to posting content. So if you don't hear from me for a long time, just know it's because I'm trying to get from point A to point B in life, just because of just things I'm working on or whatever. But yeah, I do appreciate you bringing me on. Again, I do have a podcast myself. I would love to have a podcast one on one. It's going to take me a little bit to get my equipment. I did order some new equipment for better audio. I have one of the pieces. I ordered like four other pieces, so I'm just waiting for that. But once I have all that, I'll bring you on. We can do a collab, and yeah, we can do a collab. And in terms of other projects, that's really all I have for right now, at least.
Sweet, man. Well, you do you want anyone else to know anything else about you, or is that about is that about it?
Anything else?
Like a hobby, anything?
Hobbies. I like to go jet skiing. Yeah, I lived in Florida for a little bit. Now I'm back over here in Mass. I have my own place over here in Mass. This is kind of what I'm trying to do for like just for like to raise funds, like just do real estate stuff. So yeah, I mean, if there's one sufferer, I should have written down his name. Unfortunately, I didn't. Hopefully, he watches this podcast and hopefully he reaches back out to me. But he was in real estate as well. He did some real estate stuff, and I would love to get in contact with this guy so he can like just give me pointers on how to go about life. But again, it is what it is. Hopefully he sees this podcast. If you do, bro, send me a text. I'd love to pick your brain in terms of like how to go about this stuff. But yeah, that's all I have. And yeah, really just appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, no problem, man. Hope you take care. Peace out, guys.
Yep. See you guys. Really appreciate it.